Hello once again YouTube, Chris the Nightbringer here bringing you some StarMade New and Fleetworks, and today we are taking a look at Mordus Legion ships. Mordus Legion. So I'm not going to show you the other ships behind me. There's only two others, but I want them to be a bit of a surprise because they are quite unique and awesome looking ships. But right now we are looking at the Garmer, which is the frigate. I believe it's the Garmer. It is. Okay, that's good. I'm not wrong. Alright, so this is the Garmer. Real quick I'll talk about the who the Mordus Legion are, and then we'll take a look at the other two ships because they're pretty awesome. So, Mordus Legion is originally a group of Intaki who sided with the Caldari during the Caldari-Gallente War. The Intaki are members of, or were members of, the Gallente Federation. The Gallente Federation and then the Caldari do not like each other. They do not like each other quite a bit, to the point where they had a century-long war in space. It's kind of ridiculous. They've got some issues. They really need to sort it out. But that's pretty much the relationship as it stands. They both hail from the same home system, and as such they both have like kind of a claim on the system, and they have fought over it, and it's led to obviously not good relations that really don't stand well at all in the current day. So the Intaki were on the side of the Caldari. The Caldari brought them into the fold and kind of like gave them a place to stay in their space. And then they, because they're culturally different, had an uprising. Everybody didn't like the Intaki, and they kind of fell back and resorted to their old military leader, whose name was Mordu, I believe, in order to get them organized and kind of help repel all the assholes that just didn't like them. And what they did is they formed a mercenary corporation that has strong ties to the Caldari. They do a lot of work for the Caldari, but they also do a lot of work for everybody else, including pirate factions, including Ore, which is something that I talked about in the last NEF episode. The last NEF episode dealt with the Ore faction, and I did a little bit more research and figured out exactly what happened. I mentioned in the last video that the Serpentis took over the Ore Corporation and that Mordus Legion came and saved the day. So what really happened, in more detail I should say, is that the Serpentis actually bought out Ore's shares, their corporate shares, and basically took over the corporation by buying them out. And at that point, Mordus Legion was like, well, what the hell? We were doing all of this contracted mercenary work for you, and now you're just being taken over by Serpentis, and we don't like that. So eventually, Mordus Legion sent a fleet to liberate all of Ore's assets from Serpentis, and they basically brought them into their new alliance called the Upwell Consortium. And the Upwell Consortium is, at this point, made out of a few different factions, a few different corporations, I should say, including Mordus Legion, and now Ore, which is Outer Ring Excavations. And they are planning on using their combined wealth and military power to build citadels and release the blueprints for citadels for the players in the game, which are basically dope as fuck space stations. That's what it boils down to. They're the greatest space stations that will be released into the world of Eve as of this spring, I believe. So, that's basically what Mordus Legion is all about. Their ships focus on shield tanking. They do a lot of stuff with missiles, and they also have lots of warp disruption abilities as well, which means that they can prevent people from escaping, which is, that's their thing. So we've got quite a sleek design here, and I know it's not painted properly. It's kind of like a very dark, neutral blue color that these ships have. Maybe not so dark, but it's very neutral. It's almost, it's like verging on like a light navy blue. But I'm going to probably use gray for their ships because I don't want to go full blue on these things. And they focus on kind of like a sleek style, almost like modern military aircraft, which is really nice. They combine some angles with some curves, and it leads to some really nice stuff. So I'm going to move on from the Garmer now, which you've seen plenty of at this point, and we're going to take a look at their cruiser. They only have 3 faction ships. Everything else is a Caldari model, so they use a lot of Caldari ships, which we've already seen. Here is Oh god, I don't know what this one's called. It's the Orthus. Okay, so this is the Orthus. This is their cruiser. And as you can see, we've got these angles going on, but it's also got like some rounded beveled edges on whatever the hell this thing is. It's like some sort of crazy plate. This thing right here kind of folds in when it goes into warp. It's a really interesting design. Really kind of sophisticated and military-esque in terms of modern equivalents. Looks like there's some sort of cable here, which will be fun to build, no doubt. And we've got some really interesting engines that we don't really see on any other ships in EVE. They've got like these kind of cone structures, which are pretty interesting. And I don't know if those are like engines we have in real life. They're kind of like, almost like a mix between like the cone engines that we see from Fractured Space. I don't know if any of you have played that game. They've got like cones in their engines. No idea why. I don't know what that does for an engine, but you know, it's there. And then a mix of like that and those flaps you see on the outside of like aircraft jet engines that allow it to kind of control how much thrust is being pushed out. So that is the Orthus. And then lastly, and this is a ship I am looking forward to building, we have their battleship, and this is the Barghest. And this is freaking awesome. I know people kind of hate this design in EVE and outside of EVE, but I love it. I absolutely love this ship. I've got a clean import, it looks amazing. This ship will be fun as hell to build, in my opinion, because it's just so straightforward. Look how smooth this step is. Look how easy that's going to be. I mean, it's a big ship. It's going to take a while. I want to buy one of these in EVE right now just so I can get to work on it, because it's going to be so good. It's going to be so good. There's a lot of space in here to fill. Lots of RP stuff that I got to come up with. I believe they have a drone bay on this thing. I mean, I imagine this is a drone bay. There's like a door that kind of moves over and closes. And then we've got like drone launch tubes back here that would launch the drones out. Or so I assume. It seems quite disconnected, which means that people don't really have access to this part of this ship, it seems. Or maybe they do, I just don't know how I would have figured that out just yet. I need to make sure that this door actually like slides on rails and closes. I assume that would happen during warp, but I could be wrong. But just look at how clean this thing is. Look at that edge. I could almost fly this thing. I could almost just not wedge it, and it would still look just as good, which is the thing. So yeah, I am really looking forward to this. This thing is crazy. There's like almost no windows on this thing. All of the windows are like over here, and I imagine the bridge is somewhere around here. This is the view you'd get from like the bridge. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy, but I love it. I love the Mordus Legion ships. I cannot wait to work on them. This thing is probably going to cost quite a bit of money in EVE, so it's going to be a while before I get my hands on this, or even any of the others. That frigate down there alone costs the same amount as some cruisers and battle cruisers do for other factions. This one frigate costs like just as much money as this ship size does for other factions. It's really ridiculous. But that's because it's a faction ship. It's a rarer ship, and you don't really get a chance to interact or get them often. So that's what we are dealing with, and oh man, cannot wait to get my hands on one of these so I can finally start building my own pancake battleship. It's going to be great. I love it. It's going to be so good. So, thank you for watching. Leave your feedback down below for a chance to win some cool spaceship skin variant that I have in my possession that you may or may not want. It depends. I don't really know. Check your messages by the next video to see if you have won. Leave a like, leave a dislike if you like or dislike this particular set of ships. It will let me know if you guys even care if I start building these on stream or on this series. And subscribe if you haven't already to see more, and I'll see you all next time.